groundbreaking. We have a great groundbreaking ceremony on October 7th. Later this week, early next week, through the Brentwood social media page and through brentwoodbound.org, more details will be released, but please put a calendar hold for October 7th at noon at Northwest Park. Next, construction update. So the flood mitigation contractor is mobilizing on site. They moved their trailer onto the Serco property. So we'll start seeing a lot of big changes in the flood mitigation project, which is really exciting. They'll be making the connection from Executive Walk Apartments onto Brazos. So if you remember, one of the improvements is to get Executive Walks to stop using Mary Avenue because eventually Mary Avenue goes away. So early October, we'll be making that connection from Executive Walk Apartments to Brazos. So we're working out the details. We'll send out letters to the affected residents 2 weeks prior, but I want to give you all a heads up that that is coming down the pipeline. And then lastly, the demo contract, which is with Marshall Contracting. It's a demo package 1B that you all approved a couple months ago. That's going to be wrapped up in the next 2 weeks, which will be about 6 weeks ahead of schedule. And everything's going really well. So you'll see when we have the big groundbreaking ceremony at Northwest Park on October 7th, that looks really different out there because there's all those buildings are now gone. So it's pretty exciting that we're starting to see everything kind of shaping up for the new improvements that you all approved. Getting into the financial update, construction costs, no changes there. Soft costs, total spend since the last Board of Aldermen meeting was $312,959.54, and that was spent on flood mitigation, Deer Creek Greenway Connector, and Manchester Road improvements, engineering design, and redevelopment consulting. The warrant list was recently done over the past couple hours, so I apologize, but in the next update, I'll pick up the property acquisition costs, the actual costs that will be incurred, because I believe the new warrant list says up to $3,500. So I am off a little bit there due to that recent development. And then getting down to the bottom, just two quick updates. So the 2018 COP investment income to date, so that number was updated. So I previously reported $1.8 million. I since found out that that was really for all the COP investments. So when I really dialed into that, I learned from working with the investment advisor that the number I included here, 1.581 million, is really the 2018 and 2019 COPs. The remaining of the dollars I reported was really some other COPs the city is investing. So I updated that number. And then also I added a new column, funds received. So since the last Board of Aldermen meeting, the city has started to receive checks from MSD. So that's exciting that some of those grant funds and construction cost reimbursements have started to be received. So that is now coming in. So that's it for my update. I can take any questions if there are any.
Yeah, we have any questions for Craig? Alderman Lockmuller.
Craig, could you just refresh my memory on how many more properties we need or easements just for the flood mitigation portion, you know, to meet the Clomer requirements?
Sure. So for all of Brentwood Bound, we have four more full property acquisition takings. I can say that one out of those four, the board recently reached a settlement on. So, but we do have 4 more acquisitions to do on full takings. And we have 10 easements to acquire. 3 of those 10, the board also reached a settlement on. So all in 4 full takings, 10 easements yet to acquire.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Craig on the Brentwood Bound update? Seeing none. Okay, thank you, Craig. Next on the agenda, still under City Administrator's Report, is the city or September 2020 sales tax update. Karen, I think you're taking this.
Yes. If you look at the 2 charts, one is the month-to-date comparison for the month of September from this time and compared to last year. And the second chart is a year-to-date. As you can see in that one chart for month-to-date, we got 582,000 roughly in September of 2019 and 727 in 2020. I just reran those reports to make sure that was correct. They are. I can't answer why it's that much higher in 20. We'll just blame it on COVID, I guess. That was for the general fund sales tax. And then capital improvements, it's still a little bit more, 19.11% for this month. And the economic development, obviously, there's nothing to compare for last year, but we got $318,480. Stormwater and parks, 17.97% more. But then you go down to the year to date and compare, and it is a little bit behind in the general and capital. And I don't know why the parks and stormwater aren't on this bottom chart, but I believe they were right at the same thing, just slightly under. What it does amount to is that it's like 26, 27, and I think they were 28% for stormwater and parks and rec. What should be remaining in the budget, and we should be right at about 25%. So that means we're just slightly under for the year, but we are nowhere near what we were predicting with COVID. We also just made the last debt service payment on everything, including what we needed out of economic development. So, because they're due October 1st. So we're still on schedule. And sales tax, we did much better than we had anticipated from COVID.
Yeah.
One other thing I will add that the department heads were told to now go back and review their cost containments and come up with a second round, if possible, of things they would like to still be able to get this year. We have had some things that we didn't budget for example, creative entourage, that wasn't budgeted for, and it seems like there was one other thing, but I can't think of it. But at any rate, we would have to know what it is they want to try to get, and probably bring it up at the October 1st Ways and Means to then bring to the board if we in fact feel we can afford any of these. So that's where we are as of September on sales tax.
Great, thank you. And again, the craziness of 2020 continues with sales tax exceeding or beating what it was a year ago for the month of September. Do we have any questions for Karen? Okay, great. Well, thank you, Karen. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have quite a few items. So I think the best way to handle this is first ask if there's anybody who any of the aldermen have any questions about any of the items on the agenda. Alderman Lockmuller.
Yeah, I don't know who to ask, but it's regarding item O. And let's see.
Okay.
I just have a general question on, that's the maintenance we have to do of the I'm sorry, item J. And I guess it's Phil with Jacobs. I don't know if he's with us.
Kelly, he should be on the public link. Are you able to make him live? Phil Blonn, B-L-O-N-N.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Phil,
I saw him pop up.
Is he there?
he's raised his hand.
Yes.
Okay. Bill, I just had a question on your memorandum from Jacobs. Is this a pipe or is it a ditch that we're going to have to maintain for MSD?
It's both. There's two maintenance agreements there, and one is a pipe and one is a ditch.
Okay. And it says in there that it gets submerged during normal conditions of the lake level. Is that what they're saying?
That's correct. The pipe in question for that maintenance agreement discharges into the pond. However, it's at an elevation lower than the normal water elevation of the pond.
Okay.
In order to have a wet pond there, we have and have it to be deep enough to have decent water quality so that it's not this shallow pool of water, you know, to have what you want. One of the storm sewer systems feeding it has got to be underneath that elevation. So there will be some water backed up into that pipe about 400 feet upstream that'll always be wet. So the that condition does not meet MSD standards. So MSD has asked that the city agree to maintain the pipe. So what you'll have to do is pump out the water several times, at least once a year, but probably several times a year. Pump out the water and remove sediment that is settled out inside that pipe.
Okay. And is that something that usually our staff can do, or is this something you got to hire this type of maintenance out?
It would be it would probably be beneficial to the city to hire it out. You'd get a better cost than trying to do it yourself.
Okay.
So we've budgeted that and accounted for that in our O&M document, our O&M memorandum that we've put together, and we have a budgeted amount with it. And I've spoke to Dan about it, Dan Gummersheimer about it, and the city does do some maintenance of storm sewers and removal of some sediment by contracting it out on an as-needed basis in some locations. So this would be a larger version of that.
And you're estimating that could be $30,000 a year to maintain that ditch and pipe?
I think that's the figure for the pipe. The ditch is a little more nuanced. You'll have to maintain the entire ditch, but the part that's governed by the agreement is only the portion of the ditch that crosses MSD easement area above their horseshoe sewer.
Okay. But that's just like cutting vegetation out. I mean, we do that along Deer Creek every once in a while.
Correct. That's more familiar to what you normally do in other locations.
All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. We do have a couple of items that we need to talk about that's on the consent agenda. Been some modifications, and so with that, I'm going to turn it over to the city attorney where he can address those. It's items K and then I believe M.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Kevin.
Unmute your speaker, increase your volume.
Yep.
Now he's muted.
Now you're muted. Oh, there you are. There you go.
Item K, Resolution 1240 was on your agenda at the last meeting. And since that time, we have finalized the language with the lender, and the agreed text of the lease purchase documents is now attached as a different exhibit to the resolution. Also, while the previous draft of the resolution referred to agreement with Commerce Bank and Clayton Holdings. Clayton Holdings is an affiliated company with Commerce Bank, but it is only Clayton Holdings with whom we are dealing. So there is an amended resolution, which is identified in the agenda materials as Resolution 1240.1, which reflects the correct nomenclature for the party with whom we're dealing, Clayton Holdings and not Commerce Bank, and the correct exhibit, which is the updated language of the transaction documents. So it would be in order to amend Resolution 1240, since it was previously introduced and on the agenda, it would be appropriate to amend Resolution 1240 by the text of Resolution 1240.1 before the resolution is acted upon. And a motion to that effect would be in order at this time.
Okay, anybody want to make that motion? We have Alderman, I think Alderwoman O'Neill.
Sure.
Okay, seconded by Alderman Lockmuller to amend 1240 by the text 1240.1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, my count, the motion carries to amend 1240. Mr. City Attorney, we got another item?
Item 1250, item M, resolution 1251. That text has been updated. We don't have to amend it since it wasn't introduced previously, but there has been a new recommended or requested language from the county concerning the terms of this agreement. The change is only to the extent of saying that we are requesting reimbursement for eligible CARES expenses as opposed to a broader reimbursement request. And it is recommended that that the resolution be considered as revised and as currently attached to the agenda. So just wanted to call that difference to your attention.
Okay, thank you. Have any questions about either items K or M? Okay, with that, then the chair would take a motion to approve. Oh, wait a minute. Do we need to address the warrant list, the Brentwood bound warrant list? I think we might have one more matter.
Excuse me, that's correct, Mayor. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. The Brentwood bound warrant list, we're asking that there be an additional item of an expense not to exceed $4,000 for closing costs associated with the acquisition of property to effectuate the Brentwood bound plan for the executive walk area of the Brentwood bound proposal. So please consider that the amend the warrant list to include that additional payment. That was what Craig was referring to obliquely in his comments earlier.
Right. So we don't need a motion to approve that amendment, is that correct?
No, the warrant list will stand with that addition.
Okay.
Again,
So-
unlike that 1240, which had been on the agenda previously and has a history, this is all fresh. We can.
Thank you. Okay. So with that, any questions?
Mayor?
Okay, well then the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor?
So moved.
Second.
Nobody wants to approve the consent agenda.
Well, I moved and
I hear a
Nancy.
motion. Somebody raise their hand if somebody made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Alderwoman Sims? I
Yeah,
can't.
I
Okay.
moved and Nancy
I
seconded.
can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. My bad. Human error. Okay. Made by Alderwoman Sims, seconded by Alderwoman Tice with the two. Okay.
Mayor? Mayor,
Yes,
can I just say something real quick?
sure.
I think if you look at that warrant list, it says 3,500 up to 35, which is the information that Mark Murray gave me today. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. So yeah, we're making that, so the motion would be to approve the warrant list up to $4,000. So with that, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, can we get a roll call, please, Kelly?
Okay. Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Wakey,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ebling, let's see, where'd she go?
Where's her tile? What happened to her?
I don't know, she was here, and then I don't see her.
Well, why don't we go ahead and continue with the roll call?
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes.
6. So,
Motion passes 6.
called, and the votes are 6 ayes and 6 ayes. A majority of the
Oh,
members.
here we go. Here she's back in. Alderwoman Ebeling, if you can unmute yourself, and if you want to vote on the consent agenda, you still can. You're still muted. Pat, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Okay.
Kelly, do you have the ability to unmute?
Kelly, you may be able to unmute for her.
I don't know that I can, let's see.
For some reason, we can't seem to unmute. Okay. All right, well, if we're going to say that it passed.
The roll's been called. Yeah, the votes are 6 ayes. The majority of members have voted in favor.
Okay. Yes. Great.
Motion for approving the consent agenda.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, we'll move on to old business. We have one item under old business, and that's bill number 6298. I believe we had a first reading of that at the last meeting. And so with that, can we get a second reading by title only, please?
Kevin, we can't hear you.
You're not doing any good. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Thank you. Bill number 6298, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending ordinance number 3528 and granting a conditional use permit for a recreational use for video games for the Brentwood Promenade, formerly the Promenade at Brentwood Development, specifically for property numbered 83 Brentwood Promenade Court.
Great. Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to perfect Bill 6298 into ordinance form.
So moved.
Second.
Wow. We're going to say Alderman Lockmuir got that. Was the motion, and I'm going to go with Alderman Gould for the second. Any further discussion, any discussion at all on Bill 6298? Alderwoman Abilene, I see.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one question.
Sure.
Will that gain us, the city, any sales, any taxes? Because, you know, it's primarily not a sale. And it's more curiosity for me than.
I'm going to let Lisa handle that.
So that is one of the reasons why the applicant wanted to go in that particular location. And this whole gaming host is a subsidiary to Five Below. So there may not be direct sales tax derived from the local host or the Nerd Gamer operation, but they buy products that are sold by places like Five Below, as well as even hopefully Micro Center would see some additional sales given the products that they sell to help support this recreation gaming. So in that way, I would say we would see an increase in sales tax.
Mr. Perno has raised his hand.
Okay, I'm sorry. Who was that, Kelly?
Mr. Perno is the applicant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he is connected as an attendee. Okay. So he can elaborate more.
So I just wanted to let you know that although we are limited in retail sales, we do actually have some retail sales at our particular location that we will be doing in conjunction with Five Below. But as Lisa had indicated, we are in a partnership with Five Below because Five Below does believe that they will be driving product sales towards their facility. Specifically, they're actually bringing on an entire line of gaming equipment that they will be selling in their store to supplement what we're doing at our particular facility. And then in addition to that, we have some specific items that we do sell on a limited basis in the facility to support our operations.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call, please, Kelly?
Okay, Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Waggy?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Ebling?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
The roll's been called. The votes are 7 yeses. A majority of the members have voted in favor of the passage of Bill 6298. The bill will become ordinance number 4936 when and if signed by the mayor.
Great. Thank you, Kelly.
Sure.
All right, next item on the agenda, we're to new business, item 11. We have one matter under the new business, and that's bill number 6300. Can we get a first reading by title only, please, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, sir. Bill number 6300, first reading, an ordinance establishing the rate of property tax to be levied for the year 2020 for general municipal purposes, police and fire retirement fund, and public library purposes.
Great, thank you. Karen, I think you're going to present on this, is that right?
Yes. This is the one part of my job that is the most nerve-wracking because you really have to get it right with the auditors or the state auditor. And just a little bit of background of what you have to do along in very end of July, the state or the St. Louis County sends you some preliminary assessed values and you fill out 8 pages, an 8-page document from the state auditor's office with their hard-coded formulas in there. And then somewhere before we meet to vote on these, you get the final assessed values and redo those numbers. Hopefully you get it before we meet, before this has to go to the St. Louis County by October 1st, which we did this year. And then once you put those numbers in their spreadsheet and you send it to the state auditors, they review it, send it back, and they usually match. But I think, as I found out today, there must have been a rounding error or something. So there was a slight change on the commercial rate from 0.1950 to 0.1960. That changed estimated revenue up to $317,815. So I want to get that out of the way right away. But as you see from the memo, assessed values changed from originally when we got the preliminary assessed values. And now residential and personal property assessed values increased by 20% and 0.2% and 1.2% to 7% respectively. And commercial property values decreased 0.42%. So what that amounts to is estimated tax revenue for general fund is $317,815, which is the revised amount. $917,769 for the library fund, and $1,154,948 for the pension fund. And those numbers will be budgeted accordingly for the 2021 budget. This went through Ways and Means, and it was approved unanimously to come to the board for tonight, a first and second reading, so that we can get these finalized numbers to St. Louis County by October 1st.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. And as it was pointed out to me, because this has not already been introduced, this change that Karen was talking about does not require any type of amendment by this board. So do we have any questions for Karen about the proposed property tax rates? Alderman Lockmuller.
Hey, Karen, did they give any rationale for why? I mean, am I looking at that right, that the commercial values have dropped 50%?
Where am I at looking at?
If you just look under general, I guess.
Commercial assessed values dropped 0.42%.
Oh, 0.4. Okay, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Waggy.
How do these compare to the rates we're currently charging in 2020? Can you give me a summary of deltas that we're going to see here?
You should have on your board docs a spreadsheet that says property tax summary information, and it's a spreadsheet. It gives you what 20 is and then the percent change from 19. I don't happen to have the exact numbers of what we charged for last year. I just have the spreadsheet that shows me what the percent changes are. And let's see, from 19, commercial goes up for general, 0.60%. I'm sorry, that's the, that's the revenue. And personal property, 1.27% for general, and we don't charge residential on the general fund. Pension, it goes up for residential 0.20%, commercial 0.38%, and personal property again 1.27%.
But that's just showing the total revenue. So taking the tax rate times the expected valuation
Right.
and all categories, right?
I don't have 19's revenue in front of me. So I mean, not revenue, tax rates in front of me. I don't have that spreadsheet with me. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just the straight rate delta.
Right. And I don't have it in front of me. So and if I try to go get it, I'm not on my VPN, so I don't think I can get to it.
Yeah.
I'm on my laptop. But I can try here.
Okay, that's okay, Karen. I think
Okay.
Alderman fine with that.
Okay.
I'm sure we can get that information to Alderman Weggie.
Right.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Karen or anybody else about the property tax rate? Okay, we do want to have a first and second read tonight, given the deadline of October 1st. So with that, I need a motion by somebody on the board for a second reading by title only.
So moved.
We got a motion by Alderwoman O'Neill, seconded by Alderwoman Sims. Can we get a roll, or all in favor of a second read, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I've got the motion carries unanimously. With that, Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second reading of Bill 6300 by title only, please?
Bill number 6300, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance establishing the rate of property tax to be levied for the year 2020 for general municipal purposes, police and fire retirement fund, and public library purposes. And Mr. Mayor, if I may, in response to Mr. Weggie's question, it might be helpful. We are required to roll back the rate of tax to be sure we do not get a greater revenue than the previous year, except for cost of living increase and new construction. So any rate changes tend to be a reduction and are in any event nominal because we set the rate for the purpose of not getting more revenue than we did by reason of changes in the assessed value.
And that's
Great, thank
also all tied into the spreadsheets that the auditors give us, the state auditors give us. Those, exactly what he said, are tied into those formulas so that we don't charge more than the state allows.
Okay, great. Can we get a motion to perfect Bill number 6300 in an ordinance form?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Tice, seconded by Alderwoman Sims. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please, Kelly.
Let's see, Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Wakey,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ebling,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes.
Okay. The roll's been called. Votes are 7 ayes and 0 nays. A majority of the members of the board have voted in favor of passage of Bill 6300. The bill is passed and will become ordinance number 4937 when
Great.
signed by the mayor.
Thank you, Kelly. Next on the agenda is citizen comments. Item 12, do we have anybody in the public that cares to address the board? Now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes. Just raise your hand on the Zoom, or
We do not have anyone at
we
this.
do not. Okay, thank you. So then that moves us down to, we do have a closed meeting. So the chair would entertain a motion to go into closed meeting pursuant to RSMO 610.021, subsection 1 and subsection 2, legal and real estate respectively.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Lockmiller, seconded by Alderman Gould to go into close. Oh, and Alderman Lockmuller, does that into adjourn therefrom?
So amended.
Okay, great, thank you. All in favor? No, I'm sorry. Roll call, please, Kelly.
All righty. Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Wakey,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderwoman Evling,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes.
Okay, 7 yeses. So that carries forward. Motion to adjourn.
Great, thank you. Let's don't go anywhere, anybody, because I don't think this is going to take very long, the closed session. So let's just exit out of this, log back in. Thank you.